I was forcibly outed by my sibling. It resulted in arguments in the family.
I have a boyfriend now, but many years ago I had a girlfriend, and I found it easy to tell my friends and close family, but not so easy with certain family members of the older generation, as I was afraid of being judged, as they may have had a different way of looking at things. Times have changed. Things are more open and acceptable when it comes to sexuality than they may have been decades ago.
It was very easy to come out to friends in university because they were all queer too. It was harder to come out to my mum because she used to act like bisexuality wasn't real. Actually coming out to her was very anticlimactic though. I haven't had to come out to other family members yet.
I've only ever been totally comfortable and found people totally accepting.
Moved in with my girlfriend at the time. Showed my parents round the place and finished with mine and my girlfriend's bedroom with a double bed. Still never really discussed it 20 years on.
With my parents, it was fine as my uncle is gay. I was always brought up with it being completely normal. I was outed in school and horrifically bullied. It was by a guy that liked me, and when he found out that I wasn't interested in him in that way, I guess he used it as ammo and to make my life hell. I've had to hide it from employers for fear of being fired or scrutinised, as I once had a very Christian manager. Completely out at my current job though.
With my mum, we went for a family dinner and then went for a walk, just the two of us, and I just came out. Dad, I got super fucking trashed on gin and told him at Christmas.
I was rejected and told I couldn't act upon my feelings.
It was very difficult coming out to my family. The majority of my family do not know. Uni was easier because people are more accepting. Coming out isn't a one-time thing. You end up having to do it all the time with various different people.
You never stop coming out to people, friends, family, classmates, housemates, colleagues, strangers. Sometimes it's very easy, and sometimes it feels impossible. Sometimes people love and support you, sometimes they come out to you in return, sometimes they never speak to you again. I've been lucky that I've never experienced physical violence when coming out to something, but I haven't told my parents yet, so there's still a chance.
I knew I was different since I was young, but growing up in a small country, I wasn't exposed to the world of bisexuality, and the weird gay was often used as an insult. Growing up, I had multiple girlfriends, but even so, I knew that I was sort of attracted to guys too. And in the last 4 or 5 years, many YouTubers came out as bisexual, and that's when I could confidently finally identify myself as bisexual. I came out in 2016, and honestly went through a lot of shit, depression and a lot of other feelings. It took me about a year to fully recover from all those feelings I was going through.
As a gay person in a world where you're assumed to be straight by default, you have to come out to every new person you befriend.
I've never had that big coming out moment. I normally answer, I like whatever, if people explicitly ask about my sexuality. My parents assumed I was a lesbian in my teens, then straight when I got a long-term boyfriend, but I tell them that I am dating a boy or girl if they ask me about my love life. I don't feel the need to label myself or come out as something in particular. I did once tell my sister that I wasn't explicitly straight after a Christmas where she had commented on how heteronormative our family is. But mostly because I realised she said it because I had never been upfront with her, and she just assumed. It wasn't a big deal, but I don't consider my sexuality a big deal either.
I came out to my mum when I was hungover, and the girl I liked wasn't replying to my text. She thought that I was upset that the girl didn't want to be my friend, and then I told her she wasn't a friend to me. She was really shocked and said, "But you don't look gay." I felt weird around my mum for a while. Soon she was okay with a different girl, my current girlfriend staying the night, but we didn't tell my dad that she was my girlfriend for months. I was never close with my dad and didn't like him much. Eventually my mum burst into tears while on a meal out with my dad and told him. He did that typical loving parent thing and said he'd love me no matter what, but despite this still made homophobic comments about people on TV. It's been 3 years since I came out, and my family now really like my girlfriend and invite her on family meals out.
You don't come out once. You come out every time you meet new people and do the usual getting to know you stuff. It becomes easier with age and as society has become more accepting.
I didn't really have to come out. I did voice my struggles to find a boyfriend to my mum, how I just wasn't interested in any boys, or even girls. I did wonder if I was looking in the wrong place. She said, "You just didn't find the one, don't worry about it." And yeah, maybe. Nothing too exciting, still searching.
There was a time when I was bi-curious and I decided to tell my mother and father, who both took the scenario very differently. My father was very against the idea and would be very old-fashioned about the scenario, but my mother just told me to do whatever made me happy. Eventually, after talking and dating other men for a while, I found that I wasn't into the practice and decided that I was straight.
I couldn't bring myself to do it in person, so I went to college one day and texted my mum. Both my parents were so supportive and continue to be to this day. I couldn't have had a better experience. Except when I told my best friend who was crushing on me, and she shouted at me for not liking her and never spoke to me again, so that's fun.
I came out when I was 16, now 29. I originally came out as bisexual, but since coming out I've realised that my sexuality isn't as straightforward as that. I'm really lucky to be surrounded by supportive people.
I've always had a very supportive family, so I never felt the need to really come out to them. The closest I've come is my brother asking once, and me saying that gender doesn't affect my relationship with love, and he just said, "Oh, okay, I didn't know that before." It was nice and simple.
With my mum, I was sat down for breakfast in a cafe with her and my gay cousin. She was dragging me through the dirt for saying everything was gay. My cousin, who I had casually come out to a month earlier, said he could say it because he was gay, so as a defence I came out to my mum very quickly, so that she would leave me and my gaying alone. With my mates, they either didn't believe me or didn't care or were surprised that I wasn't a lesbian.
My parents loved me no matter what I was.
I never had to, technically. My parents sort of figured it out for themselves, and it wasn't a huge thing when the dust settled.